Welcome to Weekend Business Report. I'm Ileana Bravo. Today we'll explore an innovative way to protect your solar power investment and potentially increase its value. And we'll examine clean energy solutions that are part of the Clean Cities Initiative. But first, we all know that children who eat healthy and exercise do better in school and in life in general. But in some inner city communities, poor nutrition coupled with gangs, drugs, and poverty have burdened the children with a big disadvantage. We visited a grassroots organization that's helping to change that, along with support from major corporations. This is the Englewood neighborhood on Chicago's South Side. It is an area riddled with crime, drugs, poverty, and murder. It is an area of just about 3 square miles. 42% of the households are below the poverty line, and the per capita income is just under $12,000 per year. This is not a neighborhood where you want to be alone at night.
Nothing for the children to do. You have a lot of children not attending school, no place for them to go.
Charlene Woodson is a single mom. Her husband left her. She's raising 3 children on her own, and she's been battling emphysema for years, which has resulted in her inability to work.
It's very difficult. I try and do what I can with my children. My health has failed me, but I'm still trying.
Adding to that difficulty is the lack of availability of nutritious and healthy food.
When you drive through the neighborhood, you really see that there are 2 food options. There are corner stores, which are often liquor stores, and actually there's one option pretty much. There's the corner store.
Food doesn't mean that you have to go an inordinate distance in order to buy healthy food. And so there's been, in Chicago, it's kind of notorious for that, especially in certain neighborhoods.
One of the consequences of poor nutrition associated with a food desert is an increase in childhood obesity.
If you don't have enough calories, then you're going to be a little listless sometimes. You'll sleep a little bit more. You're going to have a commensurate decreased performance in school.
And after school, the challenges continue.
There's not enough programming or people that's too concerned with teaching kids how to socialize with one another, how to work together with one another.
Michael Riddle, or Hollywood as he's known in the community, knows firsthand the challenges facing the youth here. He grew up in Englewood and still lives here. He's also a community activist and a mentor.
When I talk to a lot of these kids, it's low self-esteem. You know, a lot of them feel like they don't have the support. They know their mother's gonna love them. They know their mother's gonna try to provide for them and struggle at it. But at the same time, it's that male role model from a father that they truly need to give them that push to be successful, because a lot of kids seems like they really don't believe in themselves. And it's a father that's missing out of most of these homes.
With all the stress that comes with that, it is difficult for the parents to contend with the challenges that they face. And therefore, it requires some extra hands to come and help the children.
Tony Lumu is the founder of Englewood-based Community Outreach Volunteers, or COV. Their mission is to help residents create opportunities to develop their abilities and skills in order to overcome the barriers they face.
Community outreach volunteers come in to be part of that, to be part of the solution, to try to provide the services to the children so that the children have alternatives. Instead of being in the streets and be involved into the gangs, we are mentoring them, we are tutoring them, we are giving them educational knowledge that they need, and we are involving them in activities that helps them to develop and also to fight other challenges.
That involvement takes the form of programming directed at children and their families. COV has programs to give children access to computers, classes in finance for their parents, and cooking and nutrition classes for adults and kids. Additionally, COV provides extensive programming in the schools to help teach nutrition by providing healthy snacks and mentoring.
Stress nutrition, because we need to start that early childhood. You start as soon as they walk in the door. It's very important. They know what balanced diet is. If you see fruit and vegetables and you see some semblance of I felt good after I ate. I can get started with my day. I think that changes things quite a bit for children coming into the building.
And when you look at our children, you will notice that they look healthy. Part of it is because of the training that we have given to them over time.
COV also provides extracurricular programming that allows the kids to get their hands dirty at a community farm right here in Englewood.
The most, I think, exciting thing that we do is bring food to a food desert. So we grow on a little less than 8/10 of an acre, so a pretty small space. And this year we expect to grow 35,000 pounds of food.
The urban farm is awesome. You know, to see it and see it grow over a period of time, I think that's very, very good.
As in any well-rounded program, nutrition is only part of the equation.
We basically get the kids to work out, exercise, run, and just keep them active. That's the most important part, because a lot of kids sit down, play video games all day, but we get them out of the house and into the field and into the parks. And what that does, it allows them to also meet other kids who are trying to do the same thing.
Charlene Woodson's son is one of the children that has been actively involved in sports with Hollywood and COV.
I play football, basketball, I run track, I play baseball. I recently got the yellow ones, the gold ones from my school for sports. These are from COV, Hollywood. He's a good coach. He keeps us busy. They keep me off the streets, off the corners. This can keep me focused.
And that focus extends to academics as well. COV's volunteers offer after-school mentoring, computer labs, and homework help, and the results are real.
Those students that remained in the COV program, the Community Outreach Volunteers Program, the longest, and that stayed at Bass School, we saw them moving forward and being on track for graduation as well.
Community Outreach Volunteers is truly a grassroots organization. Additionally, grants help. LISC Chicago is one of the first grantors to COV.
The results have been phenomenal. So since our initial investment in 2009, we've seen the program grow exponentially in the neighborhood. And we see over the years, not only have the youth continued to come back, but they are contributing to the programs themselves.
And recently, the community came together to support COV as they competed for a $30,000 award in Aetna's Voices of Health competition, an outgrowth of their support for the Martin Luther King Memorial.
We are proud to be the supporter of the Martin Luther King Memorial in Washington, D.C. We thought it was important for us to support that initiative because Martin Luther King stood for equality for all. Aetna is a strong believer in equality of health care for all. And so it made very, very much sense for us to be a part of that initiative.
So we created Voices of Health to target local nonprofits that are working to address needs in their communities. And these needs all center around closing the racial and ethnic equality healthcare gap.
Community Outreach Volunteers is a perfect candidate for the Voices of Health program. When we take a step back, right, we look at the south side of Chicago. Folks living there are facing a number of challenges. And what's great about Community Outreach Volunteers is that they are undeterred by those challenges. So they are committed to providing the help necessary.
So there were 34 nonprofit organizations that were nominated this year under the Aetna Voices of Health umbrella. And they were chosen based on their size, scope, and certain criteria that we follow.
Then we asked America to vote. Business leaders, community leaders, thought leaders, sponsors, supporters of the organizations all turned out to vote for their favorite organization.
And in the end, there was one winner, Community Outreach Volunteers, because they are working to build a healthier world for all of us here.
Well, Aetna's award is very, very important. Not just the award, but the fact that a corporation like Aetna is willing to come in and give us a chance to be effective in the community is great. It says a lot to us. I've seen lives being touched. Not on a scale that we would like to, but we celebrate small victories. If we can affect one life, 2, 3 lives, we count that as a victory.
COV is taking quality time out dealing with these children and showing them things that ordinarily they wouldn't even have access to in the inner city. And you can just see it in the children. their talk even becomes different. You know, and they take that home with them, they tell it to the students, and what he's actually doing is making them better people. They're gonna grow up nurtured and having a mindset that I can achieve something.
I think this program, Sylvie, has been a lifesaver to myself and my children, because the streets could have had them. But being in this program, doing something positive, it kept their mind away from the negativeness. And as a single parent, I'm grateful and I'm thankful.
In a nutshell, when you look at the award that we are getting from Aetna, is a award that is really at the end of the day is going to impact lives over time, because the recipients and the programs which we are supporting will not stop. They will continue and continue. Even when COV is gone, the skills that we are giving to the children will not end.
Truly inspiring. We've all seen those shiny, dark solar panels planted on rooftops all over the country. In fact, solar is one of the fastest growing sectors of the energy market. And as it becomes more and more affordable to the average homeowner, protecting that investment is vital.
Cruise down most neighborhoods and you'll see those shiny black panels poised discreetly on rooftops. They're helping to generate electricity, heat hot water, and lower our overall energy footprint, not to mention saving homeowners money to boot.
One of the remarkable things that has happened in the residential solar industry in the last, I would say, few years is the financial viability of the product. The market has become mature enough to where now it can sustain itself.
The benefits of a residential solar system can be huge, saving a homeowner tens of thousands of dollars over the lifespan of the system. However, as in any sophisticated technology that's exposed to nature and the elements, solar systems can be at risk.
So there are definitely a number of factors that will affect the long-term production and effectiveness of a residential solar system. Homeowners face weather factors such as rain, wind, snow, dust, and pests like rodents, rats, squirrels, nesting birds that could significantly affect a system's performance or cause it to underperform. Damage to the wires under the panels could occur, and that damage could affect part of the system or can affect the entire system as a whole, or in the worst case scenario, definitely create a safety hazard in terms of potential fire dangers.
Mitigating that risk is vital because environmental factors can affect the system at any time.
There are a number of products on the market that attempt to block entry of birds and pests to get under the solar array. Many of those products unfortunately have a significant aesthetic factor that goes against their deployment. Homeowner associations typically don't like it when you install essentially chicken wire to the outside frames of these modules that are color mismatched. If they're not coated, they could rust, can fall off because they're not secured properly, or in some instances void the module warranty altogether because they're directly penetrating module frames and attached with screws and the such.
However, barriers like these from California-based SolaTrim not only meet the aesthetic guidelines of homeowners associations, more importantly, they help to protect your solar investment.
If you have a system on your roof for 20 to 30 years, you need to protect the investment, but you also want to add aesthetics. So we're thinking about SolaTrim in terms of beautifying the product and protecting the investment.
A product like SolaTrim is very, very effective in the sense that it prevents animals from getting to the exposed conductors under the solar panels, and it prevents birds from nesting and creating further issues to the bottom of the system.
When we designed SolaTrim, we wanted to make sure that it was something that was going to be able to install on a solar system and then not have anybody worry about how it would hold up. It's made from lightweight aluminum and it's polycoated black on the front and primered on the back. It's designed with stiffeners in the stamping in order to increase durability and rigidity. Solar is designed to withstand 125-mile-an-hour wind, and the SolaTrim adhesive has been used for extending airplane flaps, and the wind conditions in that application are certainly greater than 125. This is a permanent solution, and once you put it on, you're guaranteed for the life of your solar system.
When installing devices to mitigate the pest problem, you use those devices that won't violate the manufacturer's warranty, and that is essentially by not modifying the module itself, the solar module. SolaTrim does do a good job in the sense that it is attached to the exterior of the module, no different than a sticker per se, but still has a longevity and staying power as if it were mechanically attached.
You never know when Mother Nature is going to impose her conditions upon your solar system. So putting it on is going to really eliminate any possibility that negative environmental impact is going to damage your system. So your ROI could be the next week, the next year, 18 years from now. But we feel that since materials and labor run about $600, it's a pretty affordable insurance policy for something that you want on your roof for at least a couple of decades. Residential solar is based on really a promise that has three aspects to it. And one is productivity, the second is longevity, and the third is safety. And we believe that with SolaTrim, we're providing a solution to ensure that that solar promise is maintained.
Find SolaTrim at info@solatrim.com or at solatrim.com.
Protecting your investment for the life of your system. And while we're on solar power, these new panels could be a game changer.
As solar energy becomes a larger part of our energy infrastructure, not all solar panels are created equal.
The labeled efficiency of any particular solar panel is based on a set of very optimum laboratory conditions. The reality is those conditions are never seen in the field, or rarely ever seen in the field, and in real-world conditions, thin film solar will outperform crystalline almost all the time.
Thin film solar panels were pioneered in Japan by Solar Frontier. They're designed to operate in conditions that legacy panels simply can't.
Another thing we like about the Solar Frontier module is even on a cloudy day like this, it's still producing energy. It's still making power for the customer and the owner of the plant. And that's very good.
We now take a look at a state where alternative fuels are not only benefiting industries throughout the state, but nationally as well. We go to Indiana. Industry, agriculture, and commerce, they're all the backbone of Indiana's economy. But now clean, domestic, and affordable natural gas is helping to make the state an energy leader. And the Greater Indiana Clean Cities Coalition is helping to bring together the stakeholders in the public and private sectors.
Indiana is the crossroads of America. 65% of the population can get to Indiana in less than a day's drive. And when it comes to natural gas as an alternative fuel application, we have in the last year and a half tripled the number of public CNG stations that we have in the state. Over the last few years, the development of both original engine manufacturer and aftermarket natural gas systems has expanded dramatically. In Indiana, we're proud to be partners with IMCO Automotive, who is the largest North American upfitter and system designer of natural gas and propane systems.
This is our conversion facility. This is where we focus on really our four primary business segments, which consist of shuttle bus conversions or paratransit vehicles. We are a Tier 1 supplier to the OEMs. We design fuel systems for them, and we also install fuel systems for some OEMs. We also do business-to-business fleet conversions where we may partner up with a company like AT&T or some other large fleets. We also have a certified installer kitting operation where we manufacture kits that we will ship to an installer that we have certified to actually do these installations throughout the country. We've actually went to municipalities and we have certified them to do the installation on their own vehicles. The municipality actually has the ability to source the vehicle, buy the kit directly from us, and then once we have trained them and certified them, they can do the conversion on their own products. So as you can imagine, you cut out that middleman, which saves the municipality quite a bit of money. We have a relationship with many different OEMs. We are General Motors' partner for their OEM CNG conversions. We also are a Ford QVM, which means we're a qualified vehicle modifier. This gives the ability to ship through Ford product and make it available to the market. We have a ship-through program with Isuzu as well. And we also have an OEM Tier 1 relationship with Thomas Built school buses. These are the Type A smaller school buses that we do conversions for.
While IMCO's vehicle conversions and training help make natural gas vehicles viable for many, when it comes to Class 8 vehicle fleets, the large semis, a more specialized partner can help.
We started working with fleets to implement natural gas engines from Cummins. Palmer is a wonderful partner in the way that they can help support the fleet in not only the acquisition and design of the fuel system of the truck, but also the maintenance and follow-up support and driver training and technician training for those companies.
The compressed natural gas engine began about 5 or 6 years ago for our industry, and we were a leader in that, whether they be dump trucks or flatbeds or over the road. And what we found is that this emerging technology was really somewhat of a foreign thing for the heavy-duty truck in our market. And what we decided that we would focus our energies primarily on the education and the training and tech side of it rather than the marketing side. So what we've provided is significant tech training for our own technicians and for the fleets that have these CNG trucks.
And those fleets need fuel. Indiana has tripled the number of CNG stations in the past year and a half alone.
Part of the success of our being able to triple the number of CNG stations in a year and a half here in Indiana are because of companies like KCO and Gem Energy and Constellation CNG and AMP CNG.
Natural gas is a mixture comprised primarily of methane, and here in Indiana, AMP CNG is sourcing their CNG from an unlikely place.
Fair Oaks Dairy came to the coalition with the project they were in the process of developing for renewable compressed natural gas. Fair Oaks Dairy is a large dairy facility in northwest Indiana, and the dairy industry are mandated to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions here in the near future.
So Fair Oaks Dairy came up with a unique solution. They capture the methane produced by their own cows' waste products in a digester. The methane is then sold to the local gas utility, which is then fed to the dairy's own CNG station to fuel their delivery trucks.
We've now been running those trucks for 4 years, 2 generations of engine, and we're up over 30 million miles on compressed natural gas now. We built the first 2 stations to serve dairy runs, taking milk from the dairy here in Fair Oaks to processing plants in Kentucky and Ohio and other places. When we began to understand how much money we were saving, how much of a positive impact we were making on the environment with our own fleet, we realized that this would be true for other dairy fleets. It would be true for large, heavy trucking fleets in general. And we took that inspiration and realized that we could have much more impact on the market by rolling out a network of stations across the country. We want everybody to take the benefits of CNG in their logistics and trucking fleet. We share this information because we want to make every trucking company in the country better able to take advantage of the benefits of CNG.
But CNG is not the only natural gas fuel. There's also liquefied natural gas, or LNG.
Basically, the decision comes down to how far do you drive? What's the range that you need to have on your vehicle? LNG in a liquid form can provide more gallons in a tank than what a compressed natural gas system can provide. So based on the miles you drive, you may have to have more tanks on your truck if you're using CNG than you would if you're using LNG.
LNG is held at very low temperatures, and while it may look dangerous, both CNG and LNG are safer than traditional diesel. In the unlikely event of a breach or spill, it simply dissipates into the air and goes away.
The Greater Indiana Clean Cities is also very proud to have another partner in Indiana through Kinetrix Energy, a subsidiary of Citizens Energy Group. Kinetrix Energy has 2 liquefied natural gas facilities in the Indianapolis area.
You just get a lot more energy density with LNG than you do with CNG.
Additionally, LNG is effectively purifying the natural gas, and so where you need a higher product quality, then the LNG is superior to CNG as well. We manufacture the LNG here. We don't sell retail, we don't transport the fuel, we don't store it and vaporize it. Those are all very important and critical parts of the value chain here, but we start at the beginning here. We're the ones that are actually putting the value into the value chain. This is where the LNG is actually manufactured. We're within a day's drive of 65% of the nation's population. In addition, we're also the crossroads America when it comes to the interstate pipelines that feed a lot of the great cities up north in cities like Chicago, Detroit, but then also out east. This confluence of the transportation industry and the natural gas infrastructure puts us in the perfect location to supply the Midwest and even out to the East Coast. In fact, from our location, we supply locations as far north as Canada, as far to the west as Colorado, and as far east out into the coast. And so we have a pretty far reach. Indeed, only about 5% of the LNG we manufacture is actually used here in Indiana. All the rest of it is exported around the country. In order to make this work, you have to make it simple. You have to make other players within the market understand this new fuel. The Indiana Clean Cities Coalition brings a lot of the key players together. They also act as an advocate for us with members within the coalition, both from a legislative and then also from a policy standpoint.
The Clean Cities program, the support labs in the Department of Energy are always looking for the next step, the next phase in the process to expand the use of the existing alternative fuels and technologies. Certainly across the board in all alternative fuels, we need more infrastructure on a public level to make it not only available for fleet operators, but available for the general public as well. So we're continually looking for ways to improve upon and expand the development and deployment of alternative fuels and technologies, and it's all for one reason, for us to be energy independent in Indiana and across the nation.
Until next time, I'm Ileana Bravo for Weekend Business Report.
Find Weekend Business Report at 202-681-3770